Hello everyone, I'm Jake Doherty, your host, and welcome to the new thing that's coming to JD Entertainment is the Movie Madness Podcast, where obviously you can see that I'm by myself, but every so often I'll have a guest here with me, either Johnny, Sean, another Sean, Diego, Jesus, Jacob, whoever wants to be part of the Movie Madness Podcast is more than welcome to be a part of it. What's so fun about this podcast is that there's going to be so many different things. Top 10 movies of the year, top 10 worst movies of the year. We're going to talk about franchises, best trilogies, anything that has to do with movies will be said on this podcast. That being said, there are some things I want to go over with you, like today is the top 10 highest grossing 2025 movies. Number 10 of 2025, okay, here's what missed the cut. Let's go over the 3 movies that just missed the top 10 cut. So at number 13, we have The Fantastic Four: First Steps. It is an hour and 55 minutes long. It's PG-13 and is a Disney Marvel show and is directed by Matt Shakman. It is PG-13. In opening weekend, it did about $117 million. Domestic, $274 million. And internationally, $247 million. So, in a total, it did about $521,857,324. So, the Fantastic Four: First Steps, number 13. Didn't make quite top 10, but it was pretty close. Overall, it was a pretty good movie. At number 12, also, again, 2025, is a 2-hour, 17-minute movie. It is PG. It is a drama musical movie, Wicked for Good. That movie came in at number 12. Opening weekend, it did about $147,004,640. Domestic, $342,830,085. And internationally, $183,541,398. And a total of $526,371,048.3. So, I personally didn't get to see the movie. I wish I did, but that number 12, that's not too bad. So, pretty good. The director was John M. Chui. Number 11. Now, this just missed the cut. I'm surprised this missed the cut of the top 10. It came in at number 11. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Again, everything is 2025. This movie is 2 hours and 49 minutes. It is PG-13. The director was Christopher McQuarrie. Stars, obviously, Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, and Vin Rhames, and a bunch of other actors. Opening weekend, it only did $64,036,428. Surprisingly, it did that low. But domestic, it did $197,413,515. But this is where it really gets exciting. Internationally, did over $400 million and $500,000, which is why it cuts at number 11 in the top 10. And total, almost $600 million. Came out to be $597,913,515. So it did pretty well, almost hit the top 10. Now here are the top 10 movies that came out in 2025 that everyone really enjoyed. I personally did not get to see all these movies at the theater or on Netflix or wherever they are. I wish I did, but I didn't. But this movie I did see is directed by James Gunn, PG-13, 2 hours and 9 minutes. It is Superman. That is starting us off at number 10. Opening weekend, $125,021,735. Domestic, it did $354,184,465. Internationally, it did $261,800,000, with a total of $615,984,465. So that is at number 10. Not quite the billion mark, but it was pretty close. And I have to agree, Superman, out of 10, I'd probably give it a 7 or 8 out of 10. It was a really great, enjoyable movie. Coming in at number 9, again, I did not see this at the theater, but I heard that it was very good. It was produced by the people who did Top Gun Maverick. It is F1, the movie. It is 2 hours and 35 minutes long, PG-13. Brad Pitt and Javier Bardem star in the movie. Opening weekend, again, only 57 million or so and some change. Domestic, only 189 million and some change. And then internationally, this is where it really got its money, was 439 million and some change. And a total, 628 million and some change. That's probably already tiring that I'm saying all these numbers, but I will post the numbers of what they actually were in the video. So overall, number 9, F1 the movie. I personally did not see it, but I heard the cinematography was great by Joseph Kosinski because he produced Top Gun Maverick in 2022. Coming in at number 8, 2 hours and 5 minutes, is rated PG. How to Train Your Dragon, the live action version. Director is the same one, Dean DeBlois, who did the animated series. Mason Thames, Neil Parker, Gerard Butler star in the movie. Opening weekend, only 84 million and some change. Domestic, 262 million. International, 371 and some change, obviously. And then total, just surpassed F1 by only just a little over 634 million and some change, which made it just above F1 the movie. But How to Train Your Dragon at number 8. Now, coming in at number 7, I've never seen this movie, don't even know what this movie's about. It's called Demon Slayer. It is I believe it's a Chinese or Japanese movie. Sorry. It's 2 hours and 35 minutes long, rated R. Opening weekend, 70 million. Domestic, 134 million. International, really did very well internationally, 645 million, which made the total of $779 million. So congrats to Demon Slayer being number 7. But since the total of number 7 for Demon Slayer is 779, I'm excited to see what else is there. Like what's close to $1 billion. Coming in number 6, this almost reached $1 billion. Jurassic World Rebirth. 2 hours and 13 minutes, PG-13. Stars is Jonathan Bailey and Scarlett Johansson, along with a bunch of other great actors and actresses. Opening weekend, 92 million, not too much. Domestic was about 339 million. And then internationally, again, was where it really got its money, was 526 million, coming at a total of $866 million. So congratulations to Jurassic World Rebirth. Personally, it's not my favorite one. I think the first one that sets the tone in 1993 is really one of the best, and then Jurassic World in 2025, or not 2025, excuse me, 2015 was probably one of the best ones. But I really enjoyed Jurassic World Rebirth. I saw it at the theater. Cinematography I thought was really good, and obviously box office speaks for itself, and being at number 6. Number 5, only an hour and 41 minutes, PG, starring Jason Momoa, Jack Black, and a bunch of other small-time actors and actresses. The Minecraft movie, coming in number 5, 162 million opening weekend. Domestic was 423 million, and internationally, again, did very well at 533 million, almost reaching $1 billion total. It came up short by 957 million, excuse me. So almost reached $1 billion, being at number 5. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was funny. Jack Black and Jason Momoa were really funny together. I think because it almost made $1 billion, I think there'll be a second one coming out in the next couple of years. Coming at number 4, I did not see this movie. For some reason, it just did not want to register. I just didn't feel like wasting my money to see it. This movie was an hour and 49 minutes, rated PG. I don't know any of the actors or actresses that were really in it. Lilo and Stitch, coming in at number 4. Opening weekend, 146 million. Domestic, 423 million. Internationally did very well, 613, which obviously, with all those numbers coming together, it came out to $1 billion, just a little over $1 billion total in money. So I'm definitely guessing there's going to be, in these top 4, I'm definitely guessing that there's going to be a second movie for sure. Personally didn't see it, but obviously people really, really enjoyed this movie. Coming in at number 3, again, didn't see this movie. I think this is probably one of the longest movies that has ever been made. Don't quote me on that. Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, directed by one of the best sci-fi directors out there, James Cameron. Avatar, Fire and Ash. 3 hours and 17 minutes long, PG-13. Opening weekend, surprisingly didn't do very well opening weekend. It was only 89 million. Domestic did very well, 377 million. And then internationally, obviously this is where it gets all the marbles, being the top three, $1 billion. Just over a little bit of $1 billion internationally, which gives it a total of $1.3 billion. I didn't see it. For some reason, I had no interest in seeing these Avatar movies, but a lot of people love these movies, and obviously there's a fourth movie, I believe, coming out in the next year or two. So everyone's going to enjoy that movie. Coming at number 2. A lot of people thought this movie wasn't going to make it very well, but obviously it's number 2, and people have been waiting since 2016, since the first one came out. It was an hour and 48 minutes, PG, number 2 in the top 10, Zootopia 2. The first one came out in 2016 called Zootopia. It was very funny. Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman obviously are the stars. Opening weekend did 100 million opening weekend. Domestic did very well, 401 million, and internationally, this is where it got a big 1.3 billion. So the fact that Avatar total was 1.3 billion, and then internationally for Zootopia was 1.3 million, just is insane of how close it really came. And then Zootopia 2, a total of $1.7 billion worldwide, everything all put together. So congratulations, Zootopia 2. Obviously, I haven't seen it, but I will obviously now watch it because of how people and entertaining it was. Coming in at number 1, I'm surprised. I've never heard of this movie. I'm surprised this is number 1. Again, I thought there were other movies. This is a Chinese movie called Ni Za 2. It is 2 hours and 24 minutes long, PG-13. It doesn't give any opening domestic or international numbers, but to give you an idea of how well this movie did to people, a total is $2.2 billion being a Chinese movie. So Ni Za 2 apparently did something that people love. So check it out, I guess. But that is the top 10 movies of 2025. I'll go over them again. Superman at number 10. Number 2 is F1, the movie. Number 8 is How to Train Your Dragon. Number 7 is that Demon Slayer movie. Number 6 is Jurassic World Rebirth. Number 5, a Minecraft movie. Number 4, Lilo and Stitch. Number 3, Avatar, Fire and Ash. Number 2, Zootopia 2. And number 1, Ni Za 2. So those are the movies, top 10 movies of 2025. Well, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that little reminisce of top 10. Here is something that I love so much. There are 26 James Bond movies. Now, it is one of the biggest franchises that have ever been made. They started in 1962, and they have gone until 2021. Obviously, there's some gaps in years of when they've been made. As the years got on to when Daniel Craig took over, there was always a big gap, and they're very rare to make, but when they are made, people absolutely love them. They enjoy them. Some do better than others, obviously, as the technology got better over the years, but some of the actors have been great actors. And we're going to go over all the movies, the year they came out, how much, the budget that was made, and the international and all that domestic, if it is posted here. It's one of the greatest franchises. I love the franchise. I think it's great. There are some great movies, and there's some bad movies, and there are some good movies. So we will be going over those movies right now. I'm very, very excited to talk about these movies. So the first one is Dr. No, made in 1962. It's what brought it together. It's what started it all. Sean Connery was James Bond. The budget for this movie was only $1 million back in 1962. The domestic box office was 16 million. 16 million just for a budget of only 1 million, and then worldwide it did 59 million worldwide. So people really enjoyed it for the first time it ever came out, and then it led on from there. Dr. No, like I said, came out in 1962. Sean Connery, I think he did a brilliant job, which leads us to the second movie. Came out in 1963. It's called From Russia with Love. Sean Connery did about 6 of these movies. He did very well. I think he was in his early 30s, mid-30s when he did these. This budget for From Russia with Love was only $2 million. Domestic box office was $24 million, and worldwide it was $78 million. So a big jump from the first movie. People are recognizing that this franchise is becoming big. Ian Fleming did a lot of these books, which are based on these movies, obviously, which is why they did so well. Number 3 is probably one of the best movies, top 10 for sure, even probably top 5 James Bond movies in my opinion. Goldfinger came out in 1964. This is where people really started getting into it. I'm saying, oh, this is one of the biggest movies of 1964, or generation-wise. The budget for this movie was $3 million. Domestic box office did $51 million, and then worldwide $124 million. Obviously, you might not think back then it's that big, but nowadays with that money and inflation, it's really, really high. That's when the third movie, really came out, but the first movie where people said, I think we got something going here, there's a franchise here, there's something cooking. And they were right, because in 1965, a movie called Thunderball came out, another Sean Connery movie. The budget for that movie was $9 million. The domestic was $63 million, and worldwide $141. So as you can see, it's really getting its hype. It's really going at it, and it's really coming together. But like I said, some sequels, as they keep going and as they based on the books, they're not as terrific and as memorable. Which leads us to 1967, You Only Live Twice. $9.5 million to budget, make the movie. Unfortunately, it didn't do as well as the other movies as Thunderball and Goldfinger. Domestic, it only did $43 million, and then worldwide, only $111 million. So it got down, but it still made a big profit. It still made its money. So that was the end of the Sean Connery era, but I'll come back to that in a little bit. We have George Lazenby, who made one appearance in a James Bond film. He's still considered a James Bond actor, but he only made one appearance in 1969 and On Her Majesty's Secret Service. That movie was made with only $8 million. It did okay. It's not a big flop. Obviously, it was $22 million domestic and then $82 million even worldwide. It only made one. A lot of people enjoy it. It's a pretty long movie, about 2 hours and something, 20 minutes long. Telly Savalas plays Blofeld. I go back and forth between that movie with mixed feelings. I don't think it was very well received because George Lazenby only did one movie, and he never returned. The next movie came out in 1971, Diamonds Are Forever. This is where Sean Connery comes back. I think they wanted to come back just because of how Majesty's Secret Service was going to take place and how well it didn't do. So Diamonds Are Forever, Sean Connery makes a return. $7.2 million was made to make it. Excuse me. $43 million domestic and $115 worldwide. So it did very, very well for itself. So that is the end of the Sean Connery era of making his movies. He did 6 movies, and overall he did very well for himself. Again, the franchise is just continuing with Ian Fleming. Now we lead into 1973, Live and Let Die. This is where we get a little older version of James Bond, played by Roger Moore. He started in his 40s, late 30s, early 40s with this movie, Live and Let Die. To make the movie, it was about $7 million. Domestic, $35.4 million, and then worldwide, $161.8 million. It did very well for itself, for a new lead into the franchise. Unfortunately, this is where it kind of goes downhill from here, just a tiny bit. Next year, they made A Man with a Golden Gun. Again, Roger Moore. Roger Moore did 7 movies in a span of 10 years. So he did very well for himself there. The Man with the Golden Gun came out in 1974. $7 million again to make the movie, but tanked. Not really tanked, but kind of went down domestically, only $21 million, and then only $97.6 million worldwide. So as you can see, it didn't do as well as Live and Don't Die. But it definitely made up for it in 1977 with The Spy Who Loved Me. Barbara Brash was in that along with Roger Moore. The first appearance of we get is Jaws, one of the big henchman bad guys that people really loved. Spy Who Loved Me, $14 million was to make the movie. Now, finally, they give me What Happened opening weekend for the other movies from Man with Golden Gun and before that to Dr. No. I didn't know what the opening weekend was, but now they've given me what the opening weekend was. So, Spy Who Loved Me, 1977, $14 million to make the movie. Opening weekend, it only did $1.3 million. So, I don't know if people were just like, well, this is not going anywhere. But then box office, $46.8 million, and then worldwide, $185.4 million. So it definitely found its legs, its traction, and it was definitely making its way through it all. It was definitely just starting its way. Moonraker, 1979, $31 million to make the movie. $7 million opening weekend, 70.3 box office domestic. And then 210.3 worldwide. That's definitely not a flop. It is definitely not a flop. Moonraker, as you can probably tell, takes place in space. Roger Moore again for his fourth movie. His fifth movie, 4 Years Only, came out in 1981. Personally, it is one of my favorite James Bond movies. It is personally, I think, one of the best Roger Moore movies. I think it has the most action, very pretty girls in the movie, it has quite a good action scenes. So, 4 Years Only, 1981. $28 million budget to make that movie, so a little less than Moonraker. $6.8 million opening weekend, 54.8 box office domestic, and then 195.3 worldwide. So it didn't do as much worldwide or domestic as Moonraker, but personally I think it is one of my favorites movies, but that's not a flop. With 28 million production and worldwide 195, that's not a flop. That is definitely a good thing. Now this is where it kind of fell off the rails just a little bit movie-wise. 1983, the movie Octopussy. This is where Roger Moore is kind of getting up there in his age. He's in his 50s. Already, and you kind of see it in his face and age, and the fight scenes are starting to get a little slower and not well. This movie was 27.5 budget-wise, only did 8.9 opening weekend, 67.9 domestic box office, and then 187.5 worldwide. So as you see, it went downhill. The story is not quite there. The villain there, Kamala Khan, is not that really good of a villain. He's a little weak. It's just the whole movie is kind of messed up. And this is where they also go downhill. A View to a Kill, made in 1985. They tried to do so well with this movie to make up for Octopussy. It went even further downhill. Again, Roger Moore is just up there in age. I think he's in his mid 50s, early 60s in this movie. The only good part about the movie is one of the girls is a very beautiful girl, woman I should say, and then I think Christopher Walken does a good job of playing the villain, but other than that the movie is pretty much bad. So A View to a Kill, 1985, budget was $30 million, opening weekend $13.2 million, box office $50, and then worldwide was $152 million. So as you can see, from 4 Years Only, Octopussy, Never Say Never, A View to a Kill, they all just lost money in the worldwide. It just was not making its headway. This is where they started coming back, though, with The Living Daylights. Right before that, that is the end of the Roger Moore era. So he started in 1973 and ended in 1985. So like I said, a 12-year gap of making movies, and as the years went on, it went good, and then the last two movies he did bad. So he never made an appearance again. This is where we start getting a new James Bond with The Living Daylights and License to Kill. We get Timothy Dalton, a Shakespearean actor, who I think did pretty well. A lot of people really enjoy his movies. People think they're very underrated. I think they're pretty good. He only did 2 movies, though. So The Living Daylights came out in 1987. $40 million to make the movie. $11 million opening weekend, and then domestic box office was $51.1 million, and worldwide was $191. And that's definitely a jump from A View to a Kill, The Living Daylights. That's literally 40 million, a little less than 40 million jump worldwide. Like I said, not a lot of people like The Living. It's definitely the darkest era, more bloody, a little more violent. Is where they start getting, and I think that's what people really love so much. And The Living Daylights is more gritty. Where we lead to A View to License to Kill is probably one of the darkest ones, the most bloody one, where you see it more. It's the 80s. They started really getting more gritty. So License to Kill came out 2 years later, in 1989. $42 million to make the movie. $8 million at opening weekend, so a little less than Living Daylights. 34.6 domestic, and only 156.1 at the box office. So it didn't receive much as I thought it would. That went back down a lot, literally a little less than 40 million. So Living Daylights was 191, and then License to Kill obviously went down about 40 million to 156. I personally really enjoy those movies. I think they're really entertaining, they're good, they're fun. And again, that grit that it has. So now we jump. We are done with Timothy Dalton. We are going on to Pierce Brosnan, who grew up with the Roger Moore and Sean Connery movies. And he has always wanted to play James Bond. He thought it was fun. He really enjoyed himself. He only made 4 movies, though. The first one came out in 1995 called GoldenEye. It was about $60 million to make the movie. $26 million opening weekend. Domestic was $106. And worldwide it was $356. So a really big jump. It was kind of a new era of James Bond. And Pierce Brosnan has that little suave that people really enjoyed. And I think he has one of the GoldenEye is one of the top movies. Again, top 5, top 10 GoldenEye James Bond franchise movies. Coming in Tomorrow Never Dies, I really personally enjoy this movie along with GoldenEye. It came out in 1997. $110 million $110 million to make the movie. 25 million opening weekend. Domestic box office was 125.3, and then worldwide 339 million. So definitely a bump up. Well, it's a nice sequel to GoldenEye. Tomorrow Never Dies has to do with the Chinese and British and it's newspapers, and it's, I think, one of the best top 10, like I keep saying. 2 years later, The World Is Not Enough came out in 1999, a couple months after I was born. That ages me. Budget for this movie was $135 million. Opening weekend was just $35 million. The domestic box office was $126, and then worldwide was a $361. So definitely a bump up. Again, World Is Not Enough. I personally enjoy that movie. It is very underrated. A lot of people don't enjoy the movie. I do. I think all the Pierce Brosnan movies except for this one. Die Another Day is probably one of the weakest ones. Die Another Day is the weakest of the 3. But it did the most. The reason I say it did the weakest is because I think you see Pierce in his age just a tiny bit. I just don't get the premise. You could see the CGI immensely in that movie. Is out there. That's where they really started getting in with the CGI. I think that's where it kind of goes downhill for me. But people seem to enjoy it. People really loved it. Die Another Day came out in 2002 with a $142 budget. Opening weekend was $27 million. Domestic was $160, and worldwide was $431. So people really enjoyed it. People loved it. Internationally, I think the reason internationally is the areas it went to, the locations that Die Another Day filmed, and people just enjoyed the movie. But like I said, personally, it's not my favorite. I think Tomorrow Never Dies out of the Pierce Brosnan is probably my best. So that is it for Pierce Brosnan. He only did 4 movies from 1995 to 2002. Not quite 10 years, but he did one every 2 years, and then there was that break from 99 to 2002. He was doing other movies during that time. So now we lead to probably one of the biggest movies. Obviously, people really enjoyed these movies. The Daniel Craig era. He went from 2006 to 2021. He is officially done with James Bond. They are now looking for a new James Bond to replace him. Replace is a strong word, but I guess to start the franchise over again or continue the franchise. So this is where Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, No Time to Die, this is where they really made their money. And some of the best James Bond movies. So 2006, Casino Royale. To make that movie was $102 million. Opening weekend was $40 million. Box office domestic was $167, and worldwide did very well, $594.4 million. Because it's what started the new franchise. And when I say new franchise, I think Daniel Craig, his 5 movies, it's like its own thing. They all tie in together. They all have repeating characters, reoccurring characters. I think Daniel Craig is definitely one of the toughest Bonds. He's very arrogant. I think that's what people love about him, but he's also very sincere, and the depth of these movies really carry on and really sets the tone for the next Bond, and it's really under pressure of the next Bond film, or the next Bond actor, excuse me. Then only 2 years later, 2008, Quantum of Solace, $230 million to make the movie, 67 opening weekend, 169 box office domestic, and then 591. So just a little down worldwide, 591 worldwide. I think it's the weakest of the Daniel Craig era, but people still enjoy it. It still connects the story. It is actually the shortest of the Daniel Craig. I think it's about 1 hour and 47 minutes long. All the other movies are over 2 hours long. But Quantum of Solace is probably the weakest one, but it's people very enjoy it. I go back and forth every time I watch it. But Quantum of Solace, check it out, 2008. This is the only movie that people rewatch. It is not overrated, it's not underrated. It's like one of those perfect James Bond movies. This is where it hit the 50-year mark of James Bond. So 1962 to 2012. That's the 50-year mark, and people really loved this movie. 2012, Skyfall. Director Sam Mendes, I think he did a terrific job. $200 million to make the movie. 88 opening weekend. Domestic was 304, so a really big jump box office, 304. And then worldwide was $1.1 billion. This is the only movie to make $1 billion worldwide. All the other James Bonds came pretty close, especially the next 2 Daniel Craig's movies. They came really close. Skyfall is one of the best. It's one of the top 10, top 5, top even 3 James Bond movies that I will watch over and over again. It is made very well. It has a nice pace to it. One of the best. Spectre came out in 2015. This is 3 years later. $245 million to make the movie. 70 opening weekend, a little less than Skyfall. Domestic box office, $200 million, a little less than Skyfall again. And obviously worldwide, a little less than Skyfall, $879 million. So the budget was more, but opening weekend, domestic, and worldwide was less than Skyfall. People didn't receive it as well, but it still made over almost $1 billion. Like I said, worldwide was $879 million. So it was very close to making that $1 billion mark. It's not the best Daniel Craig, but it's definitely, it's up there. And then this is No Time to Die, the last James Bond movie that was made. It was made in 2021, or that's when it came out in 2021, No Time to Die. Daniel Craig's last and official movie. I remember in an interview he said that Spectre was his last one because it ended him kind of retiring. And then the director for No Time to Die gave Daniel Craig $32 or $35 million to make No Time to Die, and then he said, sure, but I want to end it on my own terms. I won't spoil the ending, but No Time to Die is probably up there, top 10 for sure. The biggest budget to make a James Bond film was $250 million. Opening weekend was only $55 million. Box office was $160, and worldwide was $759. Not surpassing Skyfall Spectre, but people have received it very well. Skyfall is probably one of the best James Bond movies out there, but No Time to Die is probably the top 3 of Daniel Craig's. But that is it for Daniel Craig. He made movies from 2006 to 2021. As you can see, he only made 5 movies, but there's always that gap. So Casino Royale from Quantum of Solace was 2 years. Quantum of Solace to Skyfall was 4. Skyfall Spectre was only 3, but then Spectre to No Time to Die was 6, because no one ever knew if there was going to be another Daniel Craig movie. But those are all of the James Bond franchise. I really enjoy the franchise. I hope they continue making movies, finding the correct director and actor and the great story to not repeat the stories over again, and maybe do something like Daniel Craig and make its own little franchise. Again, the actors who did James Bond, Sean Connery, he did it from 62 to 71. I won't count, never say never again. So he did it from 62 to 71. Then you have Roger Moore, he did it from 73 to 85. Then Timothy Dalton, he did 87 to 89. Then you have the one, George Lazenby, he did just one, 69. Then you have Pierce Brosnan, he did it from 95 to 2002. And then Daniel Craig again from 2006 to 2021. So that is the podcast for today. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. The top 10 highest grossing movies 2025. I hope you guys like me reminiscing about James Bond and the movies and the box office, and what movies can do with such a little budget, with a big budget. But that's not all we're going to do. The Movie Madness Podcast, again, this is the first episode. I will be going over everything. Top 10 franchises, actors, directors, producers, lighting. I go over anything with the Movie Madness Best Trilogy. There'll be segments called Agree, Disagree, which I will be looking up hot takes to see what people have. I will have questions. If you have any questions in the comments, please put them there. I will try and answer them in the next podcast. I will try and do a podcast every other 2 weeks. Maybe 3 weeks, depending on the setup and everything. I will try and have guests. Anything that has to do with movie, I will be talking about it here on the podcast. Right now, I am by myself, but hopefully I will have a co-host soon, or a regular recurring special guest. But anything you guys have with movies, I can go over anything with, gross, box office stuff. What it took to make the movie. Anything you guys want me to talk about, I'll try and talk about. I will talk about more superheroes, villains, heroes, actors, characters, top 10, anything you guys can think of, I will probably be doing it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the Movie Madness Podcast. I really enjoy myself. This is something new I want to explore. Please leave comments down below. If you have questions, put them in the comments down below. Stay safe and stay healthy and stay golden.